have a doppelganger, or at the very least, someone who looks a lot like me. Whoever they may be, they have a more active social life than I do. So I just want to start off by saying, if you ever think you've seen me in public, guess again. It might be my doppelganger. I've had 4 indirect experiences with them, all in the Portland, Oregon area, with one exception. The first occurrence was in September 2018. I was involved in this show that only ran for 3 performances through the TBA festival. I'm just throwing in details so you know I'm not bullshitting or whatever. And the show was at the PSU campus, and there were some people in it from the performance community. One evening, some mutual friends came that I knew from the improv community. I used to do improv in Portland. They had gone out to this place called Dig-A-Pony. It's not around anymore, but it was on Southeast Grand, I believe. And the following evening before the performance, one of the people who had gone out the previous night was like, "Were you at Dig-A-Pony last night?" And I was like, "No, I went straight home." And he replied, "We saw someone who looked just like you and we called you over, but you didn't respond." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." But I don't know, Portland isn't the biggest city in the country, but there's enough people. I guess it wouldn't be too surprising if there was someone who looked just like me who lived there. Fast forward a couple months later to December 2018, there was this New Year's Eve event that I was interested in going to, but I had no one to go with. So I don't know. I was trying to go to events by myself, but going to a New Year's Eve event by myself just felt like it was kind of pushing it. So I chickened out and I didn't go to the event. I can't remember where it was. I think it was somewhere along the East Burnside. But then a couple days into January, I got a Facebook message from someone I knew from the improv community, and she was like, "Did you go to this event? I saw someone there who looked just like you." And it was the event that I wanted to go to. And I was like, "No, that's really weird. I wanted to go to that event, but it wasn't me." And then I joked, "I do have a doppelganger in Portland," or something along those lines. But that kind of weirded me out. The next occurrence was sometime in 2019, I guess. I don't remember the date. I was at my old work. I used to work as a concierge at a high-rise in the Pearl District. And the way the lobby was set up, there was only one door going in and out. All other doors led to different parts of the building. So I was in the security break room, and I saw on our security camera that the FedEx guy was there for the delivery. And I went to the lobby, let him in, and he asked me, "Were you just outside?" And I was like, "No, I was in the security room." And then he said, "There was someone outside that looked just like you, clothes and everything." And I was like, "Oh, that's so weird." But inside I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's actually so weird." That's the closest I've ever come to them, my doppelganger, if they exist. The fourth occurrence, humor me, I just need to give a little bit more backstory. On September 10th, 2022, I went to the Roger Waters concert at the Moda Center, and I was waiting for the concert to start, and the people behind me, it was a couple. They were dressed like business casual. It was a heterosexual couple, and I can't remember which one was texting another person, and they were getting agitated, and the other person was trying to calm them down, but then it escalated into a fight, and as their fight grew, the lights started to dim, and I was just kind of what is happening? And then Roger Waters starts with Comfortably Numb. And then a couple songs later, I kind of peeked behind me to get a temperature check, and the woman was standing up and she was dancing, and she looked like she was having a good time. So I was like, okay, good. And since Roger Waters, he's kind of old. I mean, he is old. There was an intermission, and during intermission, the woman left to do whatever, and I'm sitting there minding my own business, and I see this hand from the corner of my eye, and I look, and it's the man in business casual that was sitting behind me, and it looks like he's showing me rocks. At least that's what my brain couldn't comprehend what was in his hand. And he was like, "Shrooms?" And I was like, "Oh no, no thank you." I was by myself, and I had to bus back home, and I didn't want to be doing that high on shrooms. Also, I was wearing a mask, so I wasn't about to take it off and consume shrooms from the naked palm of a stranger. But I appreciate the offer. The offer did elevate the experience in its own way. I don't know, Pink Floyd and whatever. I tell that story because the following day on September 11th, never forget, I was telling one of my housemates the story about being offered shrooms, and they were like, I have some shrooms. I was like, oh, really? They just celebrated their birthday, and so they were gifted shrooms, but they had no interest in actually consuming them, so they gave them to me, and I took shrooms on September 11th, 2022. It was like a really bizarre experience. It wasn't my first experience on shrooms, and I remember going outside and having this sensation of my body being like pulled in different directions, and I could like almost sense these portals all around me. And there was like this one portal in particular, it was like nighttime and I could see lanterns. It was actually like freaking me out. But anyway, in the middle of this mushroom trip, I get a text message from someone I know, and they asked me, are you at this event? And it was like this event in Olympia, Washington, which I've never lived in Olympia, but I've had theater experience in Olympia. And this was someone who lived in Portland, but also had ties to the Olympia theater community. But anyway, they were texting me and they were like, I'm at this such and such event here in Olympia, Washington, and there's someone here that looks just like you, and they're standing like you as well, same posture and everything. And I start freaking out, but I still have like enough self-awareness to like play it cool. Anyway, I don't really know how I ended that night. I mean, that sounds way more dramatic than it actually is. But I mean to say that I don't remember how that conversation ended. I mean, I could look at my text messages, but So I went ahead and looked up the text messages, and they were at a concert for a local band there called Bikini Kill. I personally have never heard of them. And the language they used in their text message was, there is someone with uncannily similar body language to you here. And I responded with, that's funny. I do have a doppelganger. Maybe it's them. And they were like, maybe. And then they were like, if it wasn't so weird, I'd film them to show you. And I said, hope you and them are having fun. Anyway, those are my 4 experiences with my doppelganger, or just someone who looks like me, dresses like me, and stands like me. Do you have a doppelganger? Have you ever met someone who looks exactly like you? Comment below. But anyway, yeah, that's my bizarre little story of my doppelganger. Thanks.